Bauman from TeamHallnNass and Motorama Live, standing here with the 2011 Ford Raptor SVT. This truck is everything that they said it would be, plus so much more. The biggest surprise with this truck, yeah, I mean, of course, it's an off-road machine, but the biggest surprise with this truck, how well it behaves on the road. The thing that impresses me the most is how civilized the Ford Raptor SVT is on the road. That's right, on the tarmac. I mean, this thing was made for Baja, it was made for off-road, it was made to go fast over the rough terrain and just fly across the top like an unlimited hydroplane across the top of the water. But this thing is ridiculously smooth on the pavement. Of course, we got our Hamthrax awareness gear going off here because, you know, it's easy to get a little bit out of hand with a Raptor and have a little too much fun. So that reminds us that we need to keep everything in check. This thing is so smooth. We're going across railroad tracks right now like it's nothing. You know, I'm a big fan of the Ford Super Duty, you know, their heavy duty truck line. And I've seriously been contemplating or trying to rationalize in my mind that we need an F-250 Super Cab, you know, the Super Duty for the street for a daily driver. And let's be honest, that's too much truck for a daily driver. The 6.7 turbo diesel is awesome, and yeah, the F-250 Super Duty is a cool truck. I like that it sits up, but it rides rough on the streets compared to a normal pickup truck, and there's a good reason for that. It's a Super Duty. It's made to hold a lot of weight. So, you know, if we bought one of those, you'd have to put at least 1,000 pounds into bed to kind of settle the springs down to make it nice and smooth for a daily driver. You know, 1,000 pounds is a lot of extra weight to haul around. The Raptor, on the other hand, with 11 inches of suspension travel, most trucks that are set up for Baja, they're set up for off-road, they're set up high, you know, they ride rough. They just do. It's the nature of the beast. This thing is ridiculously smooth. This is the smoothest vehicle that we have tested on the street outside of anything this side of the Cadillac DTS. Again, we're going across railroad tracks here, and it's nothing. I mean, yeah, it seems like, oh yeah, you guys are bouncing around in there. But what's funny is, you're really not bouncing around. I mean, if we were in any kind of a sports car right now, and God knows I love the Corvette, I love the new Boss Mustang, but when you drive around on the streets of Dallas, they shouldn't be as rough as they are. And when you drive around on the streets of Dallas, it actually works the suspension really hard. And in a tightly sprung vehicle, it bounces you around a lot, it jars you a lot. This Ford SVT Raptor, man, it just soaks up the bumps. You glide across the top of them, a lot like a Cadillac DTS, the big floaty barge feel, although you feel like you're in total control. And you'll notice as we go down the road, especially when we get up on the highway, we'll film some sections for you guys running down the highway at highway speeds. The thing is ridiculously planted. We've driven it in the rain, we've driven it in the dry, we've driven it off-road, on-road, we've driven it in the dust, we've driven it in the mud, we've driven it in just about every condition that you can think of, and it sticks, it holds, it performs ridiculously well. The Raptor SVT, it's the real deal. We're going to drop the hammer here and show you just how well the Raptor behaves on the tarmac. See, we're going around a corner here at a pretty good rate of speed, and you know, we're just cruising at highway speeds here, and this thing is ridiculously planted. This is a Baja truck, for God's sakes. It's got off-road tires on it. The tires even say Baja Off-Road on them. Smooth, ridiculously smooth, ridiculously well planted. We'll execute a lane change here. In typical Dallas fashion, somebody started to change in front of me, so we made it an even more aggressive change than it normally would be. And it just sticks like glue. You put it through the corners, and right up the road you go. I mean, this is the way you would drive through traffic if you were in the Boss Mustang, not the Ford Raptor. So a couple of cool things Ford did to the 2011 Ford Raptor over the 2010. We got the 6.2 liter V8, 411 horse, 434 foot-pounds of torque. We also have the super cab now. We don't just have the extended cab, we got the full-on super cab. How does this affect the on-road and off-road capabilities of this truck? Well, you know what? We took them both out. We actually took two new 2012s out. They're not available to the public yet, but they'll be at your Ford dealer soon. We took a couple of these things out, and we've taken this one all over the place. We off-roaded the living hoon out of these things. And I do mean the living hoon. Rock crawling through the creeks. Even went down into a river with this thing. Steep descent and descent mode. Off-road mode. On-road mode. We did everything. We've thrown everything we could throw at this truck. It takes it all. It excels at it all. It is so smooth on the road, it's ridiculous. You would never believe that this truck is as pleasant to drive on the road and on the tarmac as it is. You got to drive one to believe it. But off-road, and that's what this thing was built for, good God in heaven. There is not an OEM truck anywhere in the world right now coming right off the factory showroom floor, especially with a warranty on it, that will do what this 2011 Ford Raptor will do. And they took it up a notch for 2012. They put a new torsion front end in it, which will help with some of those really sticky situations you can get in with the rock crawling. We got a chance to try that out on a couple of 2012s, and when we test a 2012, once one's available to the fleet, then we'll give you a glimpse of just what that torsion front end will add to the overall experience of the Raptor. The other thing they did on the 2012, they put a new front camera. Not just a backup camera anymore, you got a front camera. They went and put a camera lens right out here between the O and the R, right in the grill. And you can pan that thing right down to the ground. Why do you need a front camera? Well, when you're doing some serious off-roading, folks, you can't see what's right in front of the truck. This thing sits up pretty high. And you know, sometimes that judgment call on where you're about to stick that tire is the difference between cutting the tire down, digging down in too big of a hole, too big of a rut, walking up around the sharp rock, a sharp object, or when you're rock crawling, putting it up on that next rock to get that next jump for that leverage to go on up over the hump. With the 2012 camera, two little blue lines follow the exact trajectory of the tires. So not only can you pan the camera down and see where the tires are going, you can then place the tires with confidence. And if that isn't built Ford tough, I don't know what is. The only downside to this Ford Raptor, the fuel mileage. The 6.2 engine is a hoss cat. Man, it'll get down the road, but is it thirsty, let me tell you. We've averaged in the 9s around town and when we're off-roading. The worst we've seen, extreme off-roading, just hammering on this thing, we got it down to 4 miles to the gallon. What's that? That's right, 4 miles to the gallon. I haven't seen 4 miles to the gallon since a 1983 Chevy 1-ton 454 I used to have for serious pulling. It was an off-road truck as well. But fear not, it averages about 10 to 11 around town on the tarmac. And if you get it out on the highway and you can behave yourself on a long enough run, and you stay between 70 and 80 miles an hour, which is the posted speed limit in most parts of the country. Of course, we got 85 in Texas here now. But cruising along 72, 74 miles an hour on a long distance, you can actually see 15.5 miles to the gallon out of the Raptor, which is 1.5 miles better than the 14 rating the EPA gave this truck. The motor carries over for 2012, and that's some good news. I got to put out a plea to Ford, though. I know it's a heavier engine, but I would love to see a couple other engine options in the Raptor as you guys move forward into 13 and beyond. I'd love to see the 6.7 Power Stroke turbo diesel in this truck. Yeah, it would add more weight to the nose, and yeah, some argue it would take away from some of the off-road capability of the truck. But I gotta tell you something, you'd not sacrifice any power, you'd get way more torque for pulling and rock crawling. And the big thing, out on the highway, we all know, if you got this Super Duty F-Series truck with the 6.7 Power Stroke diesel, we've seen up to 24 miles a gallon in that thing. Not with a 14 gear in it, but that's okay. 410, 411, something like that on the gear ratios. You know, the math escapes me when we're out here because we're just so excited about this truck. But I'm gonna quit yakking about this truck, and we're gonna go back to showing you what you want to see, and that is some Raptor action. The biggest thing about this Raptor is the wow factor. So we're gonna show that to you right now. So tighten your belts down, it's gonna get a little bumpy. Okay folks, we are in off-road mode, and we are in 4 high. in the Ford Raptor. We are with permission out on a large piece of ground here, right next to the Dallas North Tollway in Frisco, Texas. Got a nice pasture here where we can let the Raptor kind of kick up its heels a little bit and show you some of its off-road prowess. Coming out here at night and doing a few runs out here. You can see the field's already turfed up a little bit. It's been a little dry here in North Texas this year, so we've got a lot of dust, a lot of dirt. The thing about this Raptor though is how ridiculously smooth it is. I mean, this is an off-road truck. This truck was made to race at the Baja. And you can tell there's nothing that this Ford Raptor can't tackle. The suspension in it is made specifically to do this kind of stuff. Good God. Reminds me of the boat racing days. Feels a lot like flying an unlimited hydroplane across the water at speed. We're out here running highway speeds in the dirt, just getting it. Of course, we got the traction control on and the off-road mode stability controls, and that's kind of helping hold us into place. We're going to go across some really rough stuff here. This Raptor suspension, it just gobbles it up. It's ridiculous how well balanced this truck is. I mean, it just goes up and over stuff like you wouldn't even believe. Back onto the tarmac we go. Of course, we're in four-wheel drive. Now, I don't have the rear locker on right now because I didn't feel like we needed it. But now look how smooth. We're up on the pavement and we're in 4 high, and it's ridiculously smooth. But then we'll just kick it right back up here off the tarmac and go at it for some more. Ridiculously civil on-road, but will really get the job done off-road. Ford SVT Raptor's the truck for you. Man, this thing's addicting. keep coming up on this dip to just kind of show you just how versatile this thing really is. It'll go over bumps, jumps,
curbs,
Toyota Priuses. Hell, it'll run over anything with ease. The Ford Raptor SVT. It's not just a street truck posing as an off-road truck. And you know what else? It's not just an off-road truck posing as a street truck. There's nothing we've thrown at this truck that it couldn't handle. Extreme off-road, rock crawling. I mean, we've had it going down some really steep grades in the crawl mode with it holding itself back. I mean, we had it pitched in so hard that the front bumper actually touched where we were going down to and then rolled out with the rest of the suspension. The only time that the front bumper is touched or anything on the truck has touched is when we went down a real steep ravine, and even at that, it was just a nice tuck and roll. No damage to the truck whatsoever. I'm sure Ford will be happy to hear that. I gotta tell you, this thing is a beast. It does everything they advertise it'll do off-road, plus so much more. I mean, what more could you say about the Raptor other than get down to your Ford dealer and test drive one of these today? But I'm going to warn you, bring a checkbook with you, because once you get a taste of the Raptor, or rather, once the Raptor gets a taste of you, it's not going to let go of you, and you're going to wind up with one of these in your driveway. This is Barry Lohman reminding you that if you've just been passed, especially by the SVT Ford Raptor, then you're not hauling ass.